Right now, the fourth-year students are in the auditorium receiving some final words of encouragement from her. It's the last chance to reflect the time here at CMSRU and to take in the significance of the moments ahead. Match Day 2019. We're going to close out. We'll see you next year, Match 2020. Take care. Thank you.
And recognize our limitations and be on time.
Right.
Okay, at least I showed up. That's true.
Right.
At least you showed up.
All right. All right. Okay, so we are live streaming, so I do want to get the talk started, and I'm going to start off by introducing myself. I'm Rose Kim, the Assistant Dean for Faculty Affairs. I'm pleased to have Dr. Kristina Dzara, who is an instructor of pediatrics at Harvard Medical School and research associate in the departments of pediatrics, as well as obstetrics and gynecology at Mass General Hospital. Dr. Dzara is a graduate of the Master of Medical Sciences in Medical Education program at Harvard Medical School. She also serves as a social media strategist for the Harvard Macy Institute and editor-in-chief of Harvard Macy Institute Community Blog. Dr. Dzara's areas of scholarly interest include faculty development, program evaluation, curriculum development, and the use of social media in medical education. Her scholarly work has appeared in journals such as Academic Medicine, the Journal of Graduate Medical Education, Teaching and Learning in Medicine, Academic Psychiatry, the Journal of the American College of Radiology, and the Journal of Health Affairs. Dr. Dzara can be followed on Twitter or LinkedIn. So tonight she actually has two different talks. The first talk is titled Embracing the Power of Twitter in Academic Medicine. The second talk is titled Using Social Media to Enhance Teaching and Learning. Please please join me in welcoming Dr. Dzara.
Thank you. The first question I would have is, can you hear me? Or no? Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Rose, for the wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much to Cheryl for bringing me here. I mean, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity to come. I mean, I don't know how many medical students in a room earlier today, 100, and they were listening to me, and they seemed like they liked it, and so I was just so happy. It was just really wonderful talk earlier today. I do want to say, not surprisingly, this is a tweet-friendly environment, so if any of you are on Twitter, you want to take it as an opportunity to send something out there, please do so. And we will have an opportunity to do a little tweeting together later. So no worries if you're wanting to try it or think about it. We're going to do it together in a little bit. So this talk is about embracing the power of Twitter in academic medicine. It's a little less about teaching and learning and a little bit more about how you, as an educator working in academic medicine, can sort of have a little bit more of your own personal brand on Twitter if that's what you're looking for. In terms of who am I, as Rose said, I'm a PhD medical educator. I have a PhD in sociology. I went back, I got a master's in medical education because I felt like I wanted to become a stronger educator. I wanted to be a person that when I said I was an educator, I really was. I work at Mass Gen. I work with faculty just like yourselves in obstetrics and in pediatrics, working on educational scholarship. We try to build up a lot of projects. Sometimes it's curriculum development, sometimes it's research, it just depends on what the faculty needs. It's a lot of fun. And I also spend my time managing the social media for the Harvard Macy Institute. So if you're not following Harvard Macy on social media, please do. It is an organization dedicated to pretty much faculty development in medical and health professions education. I spend a lot of time thinking about how we can connect with our community, share good things with you. So as I said, that's a lot of fun, and I'm the editor-in-chief of that community blog as well. We put out new content each week, and it's all dedicated to health professions education. Who are you? First off, you guys are clearly ballers, right? Because you work at the, I'm sorry, was that more for the younger crowd and not the older crowd? I said it this morning and all the med students were like, hey, she's cool, right? Apparently this is one of the toughest medical schools to get into worldwide, so congratulations for that. I'm sure it's a testament to all the hard work that you guys have done, and I was looking at that awesome board, a really cool looking board in the main entryway of all your 100% match rate, all the great places your residents are going. I got to meet one today that's coming to Boston, a BMC, Priyanka. How exciting that your young people are being sent off into the world to get their training at some of our nation's best, so congratulations. In terms of disclosures, I don't have any financial disclosures. I sure wish I did. But I will say keep your device handy because we will be doing some tweeting later on. I do have a big disclosure. I don't know, the students seem to like it. Hopefully we'll get a couple here. Huge Eagles fan. I mean, huge. You don't know this about me? Go Birds. I was born in Philadelphia. I lived here until I was 12. It's kind of, I don't want to say like a religion in my family, but basically it's a religion in my family. I don't have a better picture than that, and I cropped my husband out of it, but I can't tell you how wonderful it was to be in Boston having a Super Bowl party, and all my Patriots friends with their jerseys are basically getting ready to cry, and my husband and I are calling my dad like, they did it in your lifetime, Dad. It was wonderful. And then the next day, of course, I got my Eagles earrings, I got my Eagles scarf, I'm riding the train, and I'm just like, it was great. In terms of an outline, what is Twitter? We'll talk about it for a few minutes. Why use Twitter? We will talk about that. I will share with you some of my experiences and how I think that using Twitter, specifically Twitter, not social media, but Twitter, has helped me in my career. How to use Twitter, we'll spend about 25 minutes. Those of you who have an account, I will encourage you to try a live tweet. Those of you who don't have an account, we'll pair up, we'll make it work. And then we'll do a quick conclusion. Hopefully we'll have time for some Q&A as well. What is Twitter? What is Twitter? Social media platform. Great. What's it for? What are people using it for?
Conversation.
Conversations. Are you part of that conversation?
If I want.
If you want, okay. Tell me more. Conversations about what?
Anything.
Anything. That is very true. Thank you. Any other thoughts from you guys? What?
People to your website.
Attract people to your website, right? So a little bit of promotion maybe, promoting yourself, promoting the things you're doing, promoting the Journal of Critical Care Medicine. Did I get that right? Correct. Right. So what is Twitter? It is a platform for people to share and receive information and network. That's how I think of it. So officially, it is an online social networking service. It is technically a microblog, believe it or not, that enables users to send and receive short 280-character messages called tweets. And what do people really use it for? They're using it to receive and share information, right? It's a two-way street. You can give out information, you can get in information. You can participate in scholarly conversation. And you know, if you're a person that's sort of thinking like, are people really talking about scholarly stuff on Twitter? The answer is a firm yes, they are. You can grow your professional network. I have more than 3,000 people who believe that I'm a health professions educator because I'm on Twitter and I tweet about medical education and health professions education stuff. A lot of these people shouldn't know me. Like, I'm not that established in my career that they should know me, and yet they do through Twitter. And finally, you can use it to engage learners. I think the challenge with doing something like that is you have to try to meet your learners on the platforms where they are. I'm not convinced all of our younger learners are on Twitter, so that sometimes can be a barrier. I want to make sure that we're all reasonably comfortable with some terms before I move forward. Can I get a show of hands? Who has a Twitter account? Like, literally has one? So most. And then I got 2 or 3, maybe 4 that don't have a Twitter account. Of those who have, who would say they use it? 4 or 5? Okay. So maybe 60–70% use Twitter, and of that, maybe 30% are tweet reasonably often. All right. Who can tell me what a handle is?
Name.
A name? Tell me more.
It's a way to identify you as an individual.
Right, a way of identifying you as an individual. Is a handle unique? Right, so no one can have the same handle. If your handle is I teach medicine, no one else can have I teach medicine. My handle is @Kristina_Dzara. No one else can be @Kristina_Dzara. Someone else could be @Kristina_Dzara1, but they cannot be @Kristina_Dzara. So does everyone understand that the @ means an individual or an organization? Is that clear? Good. What's a hashtag? A topic, thank you. A hashtag is a topic. Now, hashtags belong to no one. You cannot own a hashtag. You can start a hashtag, but anyone can use it for anything. Now, most people are going to use a hashtag for something that makes sense, right? So one of my favorite hashtags is #MEDED, MEDED. Why? Because I'm a medical educator. When I go on Twitter, I want to know what people are posting about medical education, and when I post a tweet, I use that so people know that I am talking about medical education. So when you hear hashtag, I want you to think one word in your head. And that word, can anyone guess? What? Searchable, that's good, yes. I want you to think filter. One of the challenges of using Twitter is that there's everything, the entire universe of Twitter. When you put a hashtag in your tweet or you search for a hashtag, you're taking the universe and making it this small. And you're literally telling Twitter, I only want to see the tweets that others have identified as relevant to me through this hashtag. So when you're at that professional conference and you see that hashtag, I don't know what a recent conference, I know there's one going on right now, that ACP is going on right now. Whatever their conference hashtag is, when you search for that hashtag, you are only going to get the tweets that people have identified as being relevant to that topic. And that's very helpful to you because it's filtering out, right? Filtering out all the noise, filtering in the things you want.
So one can have more than one hashtag?
So no one owns a hashtag, but yes, you could put as many hashtags as you want in your tweets unless you're out of characters. You don't want to put too many, but the point is you're telling your followers, this is what this thing is about. This tweet relates to this topic, and that is why it is useful to use them. A tweet is an original post that you send out on Twitter. A retweet is when you take someone else's tweet and you simply put it out there. It's not an endorsement, simply saying, hey, thought this thing was cool. You may want to be interested in it too, followers. Followers are people that follow you. Not complicated, right? Similar to Facebook, a lot of you are probably on Facebook and you have followers, but here, your followers may not really know you, right? Because anybody can follow you. Anybody can follow you. And then following is the people that you follow. And one rule is you really do have to be followed. You have to follow to get followed, right? You're not going to just get followers magically unless you're like a Atul Gawande, right? He follows like 200 people. He has like more than 100,000 people follow him. For the average academic medical person, just like you and me, if you're not following people in your field, people are not going to follow you back. Any questions about these sort of basic Twitter terms, handle and hashtag? Why should we be using Twitter? Or why should we consider using Twitter? Right, up to the minute information, yeah. So I can find out what's going on right now at that ACP conference. In 1 minute, I could tell you who's speaking right now because of that hashtag, right? That's powerful to know what's going on. Why else should we consider using Twitter? Yeah.
Such a global community.
Global community, right. I am connected with educators who are all over the world, right? I know people in Australia that I probably wouldn't have known otherwise, simply because I'm on Twitter and we have shared interests. Great. Any other thoughts? Like, why do you think your peers are using Twitter? Like, you guys are clearly here because you want to either start using it or use it better, right? So why are your peers on Twitter? What are you hearing from them?
Share information.
Share information, right. Share with your followers the good things you're doing. Share with your followers cool papers that you've heard about or maybe that you've authored, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the ways that I use Twitter and how it's helped me in my career. First off, I want to tell you, Twitter is trending in medical and health professions education. It's absolutely trending in medical education and academic medicine. So this is a tweet from the AAMC. And what the AAMC says is within the next decade, you won't be able to be a successful scholar without having some activity on social media, right? So literally, the AAMC is saying, hey, if you're in academic medicine, you really should think about using this platform to share the good things that you're doing, right? So even the AAMC is on board with people in academic medicine sharing their work on Twitter. Hashtag MedEd. I already told you this is my favorite hashtag, right? Oh, is that a little better? Ah, yeah, no, that is better. No, a little bit down, I think. Oh. I guess this, right? All right. So if anyone asks me, are people really discussing things, right? Are people really having these conversations? The answer is absolutely yes. I mean, first off, you have more than 125 articles on PubMed in which Twitter is a search term when you look at Twitter and medical education. And I literally pulled this. You can see that this is through Monday, April 8th, just 2 or 3 days ago. 13,000 tweets. In the past week, someone has tagged with hashtag MedEd, right? Is there some things in there that are probably CRAP? Yeah, sure. Is there some things in there that are probably really, really, really relevant and really useful to you as an educator? Absolutely. Hashtag AAMC, I just want to point this out. This was last year's AAMC meeting. Did anyone go? Does anyone go to AAMC? Right. Nearly 9,000 tweets sent during that conference, okay? So there are a couple of ways that you can use this to your advantage. One, if you're at the conference, you can find out who else is there. You can find out when they're speaking and what they're talking about. If you cannot go to a conference, you can follow along using that hashtag, right? Can you make it to every conference that you care about? Can you? No, I don't have the funding for it. I don't have the resources, and I don't have the time. But if I know the conference hashtag, I can follow along virtually and still get some learning out of it. That's a benefit. So again, 9,000 tweets during one conference, that's a 5 or 6 day conference.
Can you filter to get just today as opposed to like ACP 2019? Would you get everything that's been tweeted that whole week?
So,
if you just wanted today.
That's a great question. So in your phone, you have a little search button. And that search button you could put in the hashtag, right? That hashtag is going to either give you tweets by latest or top. So top, it's going to give you the most popular ones. Latest is going to give you the ones by time. There is an advanced search function in Twitter, right? In order to find that, you kind of have to be on the actual website on your computer. And then when you do that, you can search by date. So the short answer is yes. My recommendation to you is when you're searching for that hashtag, it's probably in your phone, just click latest. And you can see the most recent tweets that have been served. Yes, sir.
You're not at the conference because you're probably busy doing something else and you can't afford to go, but how do you read 9,000 tweets in a 5-day period? I don't.
Right.
To me, you got a job to do. What's the benefit of getting 9,000 tweets?
Right, so you're not going to read 9,000 tweets.
How do you know which ones to read?
Well, this is a little bit of the game, right? So you're going to learn, the more that you use it, who are the people that you trust in your field? Who are the people that tweet most often, right? So as you look at that hashtag, you're going to start to recognize names. You're going to realize that Joe Smith is a guy who tweets good stuff, and you like the papers that he writes, and you like what he reads, right? So as you sort of scroll the tweets that are under a hashtag, you got to have a little bit of like, you know, pass, 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 pass. Ooh, that's interesting. Pass, 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 that's interesting, right? You are never, ever, ever going to be able to see everything that's going on at a conference through the conference hashtag, right? You have to be okay with having a little bit of FOMO, right? You're going to miss something. You can't have a fear of missing out when it comes to social media. You're there now, you're checking now, you're seeing what's going on now. Like I said with him, if you check out the top tweets, that is a way to see some of the most highly rated content, if you will, and that's a strategy I would recommend. So, how have I used social media to try and advance my career? Well, first off, I think that Twitter can be used to connect, to create, and to critique. And this is something that I actually was able to publish. So here I am adding to my agenda of scholarship, right? Has anyone read the paper, Social Media and the 21st Century Scholar? Anyone heard of it, read it? Okay, so this is Teresa Chan and her colleagues wrote this great paper. If you're thinking about using social media in academic medicine, this is absolutely a paper that you completely want to read. And if you email me or message me on Twitter, I will be happy to send you a link or whatever. They talk about how you can use social media professionally, and it's a really well laid out paper. So one challenge with that paper is I thought, they did not talk about how Twitter is now different. Twitter changed. It was 140 characters. It changed to 280 characters, right? That's a big change. You can say a lot more in 280 characters than you can in 140. So I thought their paper left something to be desired because of that. So I called up my friend Larry. Anyone know Larry? Larry Hurtubise? Okay. Call up my friend Larry, an educator that I'm a big fan of. We've had a lot of great conversations. And I say, hey, Larry, do you think that 280 characters is a big deal? He's like, oh, yeah. It changes everything. It's such a big deal. I said, no one's written about this at all in medical education. Do you think we could do a letter to the editor, to the Journal of the American College of Radiology, in response to Teresa Chan's paper about how we think 280 characters is a good thing? Helps people connect, create, and critique better. And he said, sure, let's do it. And so we wrote this little paper. We published it in the Journal of the American College of Radiology. It's a little letter to the editor. It's not going to get me tenure, right? But it's something, it's a little piece of scholarship that I was able to do, which is literally connected to Twitter. And then I promoted the heck out of it on social media. All right, connecting. Anyone heard of Lorelei Lingard? Anyone read her work? Qualitative social scientist at the Wilson Center. Well, this is a medical educator, which literally is probably one of the best qualitative researchers in the field of medical education. Really cool lady. So, somebody wrote this paper, these people, I don't know them. They wrote a paper and published a paper that literally says, Lorelei Lingard is the Kevin Bacon of medical education, right? If you do like a network analysis of who knows who in medical education, she's the hub. She's the Kevin Bacon. So, she comes to Harvard. She's giving a talk and a professional development workshop. Of course, I sign up for them. I'm a big fan of her work. I want to learn from her. And I go up to her and I introduce myself. Professor Lingard, it's very nice to meet you. My name is Kristina Dzara. I'm very excited for your talk today. And she says, I know you. Where do I know you from? I said, oh, no, ma'am, I've never had the honor of meeting you before. I would remember that, but it really is nice to meet you. And she said, no. I know you from Twitter. And I said, oh, yes, we have tweeted each other a time or two. Literally, the Kevin Bacon of medical education knew me from Twitter and recognized me. If that's not powerful, I don't know what is. So then I ask her, hey, do you mind if I share a few of your pearls from today's talk? I think some of my followers would want to know a little bit about what you have to say. Sure, that sounds great. So here I am, little Kristina, not a big name in medical education, not a person that this person should really know, sharing some of her pearls, amplifying her message, helping her personal brand. That's a benefit of using Twitter that I have found. And of course, to keep connecting with people, right? Here I am at AAMC, at this conference that I went to. We held a tweet up. What's a tweet up? Yeah.
Meet up through Twitter?
A meet up through Twitter, right? So people who network virtually decide to meet up in real life. How cool is that, right? So we had this little tweet up. Maybe it doesn't look that great. Actually, we had about 30, 35 people come. We took the picture late, which is why it only looks like 6 people came. But what were we doing here? We're literally saying we have shared interests on social media, and we want to take 10 minutes out of our busy conference day to meet in person, to make a connection in real life. So here's an example of an opportunity where I was able to say, hey, let's try to meet in real life. Let's not just make this virtual. Let's get to really know each other. Very cool.
Did you just make that the hashtag SoMe?
Oh.
What's SoMe mean there?
Back.
Oh, social.
Yeah, hashtag SoMe is social media. If you want to use the word social media on Twitter, use hashtag SOME. Thank you for pointing that out. Now, critique. Anyone has taken part in a journal club? Any journal club, right? We've all done a journal club at some point in our training, very popular in graduate medical education. They have online journal clubs now, right? So here, this is a very popular one. Anyone in urology in the room? Urology Journal Club, it happens every month. People are using Twitter to discuss journal articles of shared interest in a virtual space. So instead of just talking to the same people that you talk to every time you have journal club, you can actually talk to people who care about what you care about in an online setting. So this is the way that people are using it. It's not just nephrology. There are so many journal clubs going on. There's medicine journal clubs. You can find one on your clinical area of interest, and you can engage in conversations about articles which are of interest to you. You can also participate in tweet chats. Anyone participated in a tweet chat? Right, what's it like?
That's pretty good.
Tell me more.
The world, I participate with NephJC, the Nephrology Journal Club.
Oh, yeah.
And there are hundreds of members
right.
across the world with expert statisticians who weigh in on the papers. Oftentimes we'll give the actual first author on the paper to weigh in.
Right.
It's really good. It expands your horizon.
It really does. So he is talking about, I believe, the Nephrology Journal Club, which basically is like a tweet chat. A tweet chat is when there's a hashtag about a topic and people get together to discuss that topic in a virtual space, right? And there could be tweet chats on everything. So one of the tweet chats that I join often is HMI chat. It's the chat of the Harvard Macy Institute. There's also a MedEd chat, hashtag MedEd chat. People are talking about every single topic that you could dream of. Do you care about faculty development? People are talking about it. Do you care about nephrology? People are talking about it. Do you care about curriculum development? People are talking about it. Do you care about humanities and health professions education? People are definitely talking about that. So whatever it is that you care about and you're passionate about, there are people having conversations on Twitter about that topic. And so you can be a part of that if you want to. I've had a lot of benefit of doing that in my professional life. And create. This is something else that people are going to really be thinking about in the future. Who publishes? Most of us write papers, right? Journals are now asking for your Twitter handle so that they can tag you in tweets when your papers come out. And they're also beginning to ask you to create visual abstracts so that those visual abstracts can be shared on Twitter, right? So journals want you to be on Twitter so that when your paper comes out, they can help amplify the message of your paper. That's really cool, right? Has anyone had that experience, journals asking them? Or having a journal ask to construct a tweet about the article? Well, if you haven't, it's coming soon because people are really, I'm finding, and people are telling me anecdotally that they're asking for visual abstracts, they're asking for tweets, they're asking to tag people, yes.
So I want to just take a giant step backwards.
Okay, sure.
So many of us in this room have multiple different roles.
Right.
That we don't necessarily want to mesh.
Right.
So does that mean that we have a different Twitter account for each of those roles?
Mm-hmm. I think you have to decide what's right for you.
Okay.
I mean, you are one professional person, right? So it's possible that if you had a certain soapbox, you might want to make one account for that particular thing that you care about and one account for something else. But if you're tweeting professionally, then it really is the same ball of things that you care about, right? Like, what are the roles that you're talking about?
Okay. And so
I'm
then
asking,
that's where the different hashtags would come in.
There you go. There you go.
So
right.
if you're tweeting, for example, about med ed, that would be that hashtag. But if you were tweeting about
the Eagles,
yeah,
you would do that, and so that the people who were following you in one aspect wouldn't necessarily be find your stuff being drowned out by the Eagles.
Right. I mean, they might still see those tweets, but they're not likely to like them, and they're not likely to retweet them. But yeah, we all wear a lot of hats. I mean, I would recommend, if you're thinking about starting a Twitter account for your professional work as a physician, as a clinician, as an educator, then you have one account. And that account should be clear, right? It should be like, I am this person, I am at this place, I care about these things clinically or academically, this is who I am. And then when you share in that domain, right? If you check out my Twitter profile, you're gonna see a person who tweets about academic medicine, medical education, health profession education. That's my ball, that's what I share about. I know plenty of people who are academicians who are clinicians, right? They also add their clinical, they also tweet about a lot of OBGYN stuff, right? So you really have to sort of, as you get that ball rolling and learn more, you'll figure out more of the language and how to get more people to see the things that you're sending out there, right?
And you can also set up two different, you can set yourself up if you want to be your private, your home person and the interest that you have, if it's in following your children's sports or some hobby that you have as independent of your medical, you can have two accounts.
You sure can.
Otherwise, they do bleed a little bit, and you're like liking my daughter's lacrosse team win, and then the next thing I'm liking a paper that was just published on.
Right, and there's no rule, right? I mean, I know some people who clearly want to have them extremely separate. You know, one is for my biking and swimming interests, and one is for my professional interests. Other people let them merge, right? There's no one answer, although I think it's a lot easier to use Twitter if your account is kind of about one big domain thing. Like, if your domain is healthcare. That will get
something, and then you're
that will get murky.
Everyone's different, but professionally, I think we should leave politics behind.
Completely agree with you.
Some people feel very strongly that as physicians we should be promoting certain positions in politics, and that's our voice, and it should be so.
Right, and those are decisions that an individual has to make about what they want to put out there. You know, there are plenty of physicians who, you know, tweet very much about their opinions on some topic that maybe shouldn't be controversial but is controversial, right? That's your choice on what you want to put out there and how political you want to be. I personally try to stay away from politics on social media. That's my preference, whereas some people would say, no, I'm a physician and I care deeply about vaccinating children, and that's part of my platform. But again, it goes to who is it that you want to reach? Do you want to reach patients? Do you want to reach families? Or do you want to reach people in your field to connect? You kind of have to have a little bit of a sense of what it is you're trying to do with your account. And then creating. You know, nowadays it is very easy to get connected with an academic blog. A lot of professional societies have them. You can blog for an organization, write a blog post on something that you care about, and promote it on social media. Get people reading your stuff, right? This is a lot faster way of getting information out there than going through and publishing a paper, right? So whereas before people might be like, oh, blogging, like really? Do you want to blog? Nowadays, a lot of people have taken to blogging. You don't have to have your own blog. There are so many blogs out there. Like I said, so many journals have blogs. You write a quick blog post, you share it on social media, and you're amplifying your message, things that you care about clinically or academically. So these are ways that I have generally used Twitter in my life to try to amplify the work that I'm doing. I do a paper, I share it on Twitter. I care about a topic, I join that tweet chat. I want people to know who I am, what I care about, and view me as part of an online community that cares about the things that I care about. So,
is tweet chat just you reply to the message they posted? Is that the tweet chat you're talking about?
Right, so a tweet chat would use a hashtag. And so just like whatever the hashtag for the tweet chat is, you would see what people are writing under that hashtag. You can reply to them, you could retweet them, or you could use that hashtag and post an original tweet. It's a way to create a conversation about a topic. You really have to try one out before you fully understand it. So what
Can I ask, so if you've got an account, so people can see what you account to, or who you follow?
Yes.
So everybody can see what you follow.
Yep.
And people that follow you, they can see what they follow also. No.
People that.
So like if you post something and somebody looks at it, they can find out who follows you.
So you can find out everyone that follows me and everyone that I follow. Okay, so if you, yeah.
So you said it
yes.
better than I did.
Yes. Now, you cannot control who follows you. You can control who you follow. Now, I have some people that follow me. I don't know why in the heck they follow me. You're an interior decorator. Maybe you follow me because you think I'm going to follow you back because you think I want to decorate my house. I don't. I only follow people back who are clearly in medical or health professions, education, or healthcare. That's my own personal point on keeping, I want to keep my followers as close to my field as I can. But you will have some random followers, and it's just part of it, right? But who you follow is up to you. Any other questions right now before I move forward? Yes, Vasan.
Can you take back what you put in Twitter?
Can you take back what you put in Twitter? That's a good question. So you can delete a tweet. You can delete a tweet. But what I would tell you is that there is a chance that it's always out there somewhere. That someone saw it, that it could be in some, who knows how data are kept. So I recommend that you never do a tweet angry. You never do a tweet that you're not sure you want to put out there. Because theoretically it could always be out there, yes.
What was post on the Twitter? They kind of archived?
I'm not completely sure I understand your question. You can post a tweet and you can delete that tweet. And people won't be able to find it in the native Twitter. Question is, did somebody screenshot it? Did somebody save it? That sort of thing.
Somebody retweets it, will that be deleted from the retweet or no?
It will be deleted from the retweet. But the point is, you can never be sure in today's digital society that something is truly gone. So don't tweet something that you're not sure should really be out there. Yes?
Who owns the Twitter?
Who owns Twitter?
Yeah.
Whoever owns Twitter. Yeah, stockholders, the company. Yeah.
So to Dr. Vasan's question is that if there's something that was tweeted 5 years ago,
right?
Can you find that?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, as long as no one has deleted it, absolutely.
Okay.
Right. And chances. Well, there is a Twitter advanced search function. It's kind of a 2.0 thing. You gotta go. It's not easy to find off the main Twitter site, but if you put in the dates, if you know a little bit, like let's say you remember that tweet was during this conference and there was a hashtag in it, and you remember who sent it, you can find it. Now, it takes a little MacGyvering, right? It's not gonna be super easy to find. I agree with you. But yeah, unless someone deletes it, you will be able to find it. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say another use. I have a friend who's into research. He's just became an assistant professor.
Right.
Really into Twitter, so every meeting she goes to, she's tweeting, but she has people from NIH, program directors following her, senior people in the field. She comments on articles which are relevant to me, and I can't not think that that's going to help her either get called upon to give a talk, or help her grant application, and maybe for students here or young faculty to promote themselves. I think it's
right. If you are going to use Twitter professionally, you have to be okay with just a tiny little bit of shameless self-promotion, right? You have to be a little bit of that person who's kind of like, hey, you know what? I did work on that paper, or I did serve on that committee, or I am at this conference, and I want you to know about it. I want you to know that I'm being impactful in my field. So it sounds like this person is using it well, and I guarantee you that she's getting opportunities because of it.
It's valuable to me to see that she's at a conference on that. She's summarizing a paper that's
right.
presented, so.
Right, so the paper summary is bringing value to the people that follow her, right? So there are things that you can do to bring value to your followers. It's not always about I'm here, I'm doing this cool thing, but sometimes it's about, hey, like if you and I were colleagues and you wrote a great paper and I really liked your paper, I would probably make a tweet that's like, and I'm sorry, what's your name, sir?
Mike.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, just read a great paper by @Mike the Doctor, let's pretend that's his handle, on cool topic of interest, hashtag, whatever that hashtag is, link to paper. Now, what am I doing there? I'm helping him. I'm telling my followers that this is a cool guy. I'm telling my followers that maybe they should follow him. I'm telling my followers that this guy's doing a cool paper in his field, and I'm making it easy for my followers to get that paper by putting that link and telling them a little bit about what it's about. So really, you want to think about how you're bringing value to the people that follow you. So I want to know, does the group want to do a tweet or two? Do we want to tweet? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. Who has an account and is willing to tweet or allow a group of people?
Can we turn the lights on now? Or it's okay to be in the dark?
I don't know. I'm not a lighting expert. I don't know. So who here is willing to do a tweet from an account that you have that exists? Cheryl, you, three or four people? Okay. So before we get started on that, I want to just quickly run through an anatomy of a tweet. So here I went ahead and I put out a tweet that says, I am looking forward to upcoming talks with student and faculty at Cooper Med School, right? So I'm tagging the institution that has invited me to speak, which is you guys, to talk about how to harness the power of social media for professional development, networking, and teaching in academic medicine and med ed. I constructed this tweet because 1, I want the world to know that Cooper invited me. Thank you. And 2, for the purpose of showing you guys an anatomy of the tweet. I thank Cheryl, I thank Cooper Med School, and then I hashtag MedEdThanks because that's something we're doing in my field, being very thankful, and MedTwitter because I want MedTwitter to know. So what you can see here is that there's my name, that's my tweet. I always try to link to another Twitter user, and that's something we want to do as we construct our tweets, right? We're going to look and see, is there someone next to us that we can tag? Can we tag me? Can we tag Cheryl? There's, at the bottom, people have asked, how do I reply to a tweet? It's the one on the right. How do I retweet a tweet? It's that one right there that's kind of a little circle arrow. How do I like a tweet? That's the heart, right? So retweeting is something making sure that your followers are going to see it. If you just like something, it's sort of saying that's cool. And then there's another button for some other options. So for example, you could actually email a tweet to somebody if they're not on Twitter. So I did this for the purpose of letting you guys see a well-constructed tweet. I include at least one handle, which is a person or an organization. I include at least one hashtag, so people that are looking at that hashtag will see it. I say thank you, you know. I didn't include a link in this because I didn't have one to include, but many times you'd want to include a link. Let's say you're talking about an article. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like for us to pair up. Whoever has a Twitter account set up and is willing to do a tweet today, let's find somebody and get in groups. So I know she's willing to do one. You're willing to do one, is that correct?
I have a person.
Okay, you're willing to do one? All right, so we can get a couple people with her, whoever's with Cheryl, yes? You're willing to do one? Do you have an account, sir, Mike?
Yeah,
Are you willing to do a tweet today?
I'm not real good with it.
You're not so what if we can we pair you up with her and maybe you guys can, okay. So group over here, we got a group over here.
We're here.
You're, okay. And then you guys can either be a group or do individuals. This is what I want you to do. I want you to open your Twitter account. I want you, now don't send it, do not send your tweet. I want you to construct a tweet about something you learned in this presentation or something you care about in your field, or if you have recently read a paper and you want to share, whatever it is that you want to share with the world right now from this account. So construct it, write it out. The best thing to do is to just sort of write out what it is that you want to say, and then we'll go back. You can tag me, you can tag Cheryl, you can tag Cooper Medical School, or you can use a hashtag. So our goal is to construct a tweet about your learning today. Is everyone clear on the ask? Kind of? So I'm going to walk around, check group by group, and see how you guys are doing. Remember, don't send it because I want to see it, and we're going to improve it. All right, are we all doing one, or? Can you guys hear me? I want to be really cognizant of time, and I talked a little bit longer than I intended, so I know I have a second talk coming up. The first thing I want to say is I am blown away by the amazing tweets that you guys constructed. Can everyone say they at least learned something?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. Now what I'm going to tell each and every one of you is that if you tagged me in a tweet, I will retweet you and I will follow you because you're clearly in my field. So, does anyone have just one quick question from the tweeting experience?
I think I was always hesitant to follow people because for many reasons, I'll tell you. So one thing I learned from you is to be liberal in following people.
You can't get followers if you don't follow.
Right, exactly. But also, you know, you don't want to get there are times in other programs, for example, in my specialty, who maybe you don't really, connect with.
Right.
So to speak.
Right.
So, but you should follow them.
Well, I mean, if you don't like somebody or you really don't want to follow them, don't follow them. Like, there's no reason that you have to. But if somebody is a name in your field and you know them and you know of their work and you want people to know you for your work, then you do need to follow to be followed. And that's just a basic one hand washes the other type of principle. Yes?
I sort of asked this earlier when it was just you and Krista and I, but it's still not clear. Like, I just put 3 hashtags on that tweet.
Sure.
I put so me crit care with capital C. I figured that made sense.
For
and
your
I
field.
Put hashtag CMSRU.
Okay.
Mike's point is, what if one of those, how does that link? Are people looking for CMSRU?
So I don't actually know. I think the social media person, do people use hashtag CMSRU here?
So that might be a question for the CMSRU team, but for Cooper, I use pretty much hashtag Cooper something or other in there. Cooper team gets a lot of use regardless of who we're talking about.
Right, so I think part of it is like sort of figuring that out as you move forward. So if there is a social media person at Cooper asking them, should I tag you in my tweets? Is there a hashtag that we use when we're at university events?
Yeah, I would definitely ask whoever the social media person is at your organization. They'll appreciate it. And
they'll want to know.
Now, if someone searched CMSRU now that I sent that,
they would find your tweet.
So they'll find it.
They'll find it, right. Yeah, so I don't actually know if that is a real hashtag or if people are really using it or not. I haven't looked. Yes?
So is it case sensitive? Like, I put Cooper Med School, but I put
No, it's not case sensitive. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I want to move on.
Search for it in a different way, it won't come up if you do it that way. Like, depending on how you search. So.
Right, but if you search for it and you have an upper or a lower, you should still find it. Right. Right. I want to move on in the interest of time. So how did it go? We talked about that. I want to talk a little bit about just some quick practical considerations, right? So this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. What is your purpose for tweeting, right? Take a minute. Think about your one-liner. What is your social media mission statement? Why do you want to use this in your field? Twitter culture. You must follow to be followed. If someone follows you and they seem legit in your field, consider following them back, right? It's a ball that keeps on rolling. You want to create and curate. Like, are you doing something that's really cool? Did you make a cool concept video that you think you could share with the world? If it's open source, share it, right? People want to see the good work that you're doing. Tweet informative content. Bring value to your followers, right? I was talking with him earlier today. He's an associate editor of a journal. The journal wants him to think about sharing articles, right? When he does that, he's bringing value to his followers. I find out about papers in my field not from emails and not from the journal website. I find out about them from Twitter because people I know are sharing good articles. Tweet locally.
So when you're looking at the tweet and you find a really interesting article, but you really don't have time to go through the article, can you save your tweets to look at them later?
Yeah, you can save a tweet. You can also message it to yourself in Twitter. So you can private message it to yourself. I do this trick all the time. So I send messages to myself of things I want to look at later, and then when I'm bored, which is rarely, but when I think about it, I go in those messages and I take a look. Tweet locally, tweet regionally, tweet nationally. Before you know it, people are going to be like, oh yeah, I do know you. Oh yeah, no, we think we follow each other, right? It's an introduction. And I think this is especially important if you're sort of junior on the career trajectory, right? If people don't know you yet, they don't know why they should know you, they might already know you a little bit from Twitter. And then tag others in tweets. Do not be afraid. Twitter is a great equalizer, right? If a med student is doing good work and you read their paper or you see their poster, tag them in something, right? If there's somebody that you aspire to be like one day and they did something cool, tag them. If they're on Twitter, they will take it as a props and they will be happy about it. Professional considerations, this is the paper I mentioned earlier. If you want it, let me know. I'll get it to you. It's great. It's worth reading. It's kind of one of the sort of seminal papers that really gets you thinking about how to be a 21st century scholar. Teresa, huge on social media, just got 10,000 Twitter followers. If you don't know Brent or Neil, Blair, they are big names in social media in the field of medical education. And again, I'm happy to get you connected with this paper. In terms of problems and reactions, I have to cover this briefly. Know your institution's social media policy, right? There is one for Rowan. I'm sure there is one for Cooper Med as well. Know it. Know and follow HIPAA. Like this is a no-brainer, right? If you think you shouldn't send a tweet out, don't do it. Stick to areas of expertise. Don't get in an argument with somebody over something in health policy that you don't know about. Share the things that you do know about and you've built up an expertise. I like to call this Thanksgiving rules. Follow them. Personally, I say no politics and no religion on Twitter. Now, some people do get into things that border on political, as Tara pointed out. That's a decision you have to make because you do risk getting trolls, you do risk getting people sort of heckling you, and that can be really challenging. Don't be afraid to report trolls. If somebody's bothering you, granted this has happened to me like once the time that I've been on Twitter, which has been 5 years now, report them, block them, mute them, say that you don't want to see any more of their stuff. It's very easy to do. And here's a good one. Google your name. Social media profiles actually garner high rankings, so you're going to see your social media stuff first. Create a Google alert. If you haven't done this, it's really cool. You can create a Google alert, so when something comes up on a website with your name, you're going to get an email about it and you're going to find out. So let's say you're asked to give a talk and you're going to the University of whatever, and the University of whatever puts out a website and they don't tell you, this would catch it. And you would be able to know, hey, I'm on a website from the University of whatever. It's a good thing to know. Quickly, I got the Cooper Medical School of Rowan University social media policy. I summarized it. I would recommend that you read it on your own because I don't have the power to speak for Rowan. Don't compromise confidentiality, integrity, or accessibility. That's thing one. You can't use the university's name, your university email address, or university logos or trademarks on social media to post in a manner that may be interpreted as representing an official position of the university. Make it really clear on your Twitter account. If you want to say that you are at Cooper Rowan, that's fine. Then you want that line that says, tweets my own, tweets not endorsement. Whatever those words are that you like, you want to be very clear. You are speaking on behalf of you. You are not speaking on behalf of Cooper Rowan. Don't use their logos. Don't use anything that makes it seem like you are speaking from them because you are speaking from you. Nothing illegal or in violation of any codes of conduct. And like I said, I recommend this if you are going to have Twitter for academic at all. In your bio, on your Twitter profile, just put somewhere, views my own, tweets my own, opinions my own, retweet not endorsement. Whatever words you like, put it, because you're being very clear to everyone at that point then, this is me, this is not any of my institutions. I would recommend this like step one, day one. Don't tweet without this. A caveat, your social media reputation will precede you. There's a blog that I like, it's called the ICE blog, International Clinician Educator blog. I read this blog post by a guy named Mike Gazandi. I've never met Mike Gazandi, but I know he's a cool guy because I've read some of his papers. I like this blog post. It's late at night, I'm tired, but I really liked it. So I wrote, nice blog post, Mike. Literally, like the easiest tweet that you could put back to somebody. I didn't elaborate, I didn't put some like really worth reading, I just put nice blog post. And this is what he came back with. Thank you. Twitter, that was high praise. From a true Twitterati educator, Kristina. Someday she might say hi at a conference. And I was just like, I'm not some like queen on a high pedestal. Like, I am happy to meet you and engage with you and follow you and whatnot. See, my point on this is you never really know how people are going to take things on social media and how they're going to interpret it. But I really do hope that I get to meet Mike one day at a conference, because now I've shouted him out at the talk earlier today. You know Mike, okay. I really want to meet him, but like this tweet just made me laugh, because I was like, if I was at a conference and you were there, I would love to meet you in person. Like, there's no reason I ever felt like I couldn't meet this guy. Anyway, funny stuff. All right, so some quick tips. It's okay to lurk, have a professional profile, include a handle, hashtag, or visual, know the organization or conference hashtag or handles, and always tweet professional, right? These are not complex rules. And finally, some suggestions. Follow your organization. You've got two wonderful medical students who are on social media. I got to meet them today, Priyanka and Eddie. Their profiles are really nice. They're doing a really good job. If you're open to following students on Twitter, these are kids to follow. Young adults, budding health professionals. I do want to leave you with Mayo Clinic's social media policy, and it's a really good one. Don't lie, don't pry, don't cheat, can't delete, don't steal, and don't reveal. These are good words to live by, I think, for no matter what you're doing, especially in the social media space. Oh, and to conclude, we do live in a different world today, right? In 1998, your mom was like, do not get in strangers' cars. Do not meet people from the internet. And today they're like, open an app on your phone to literally summon strangers from the internet to get in your cars. And my point with this is that times have changed. People are using Twitter and social media to connect, and you have a choice. You have the choice to join or not to join. But things change and you can't stop that. So social media has done a lot for me. Being on Twitter has done a lot for me. I was literally invited to come to Philadelphia to give 3 talks today about social media because of what I do on social media, right? So you never know where these opportunities are going to take you. So I would ask you to consider whether you can use Twitter to your advantage. And I'm happy to take, I think, just a few questions, although I got lost on time and I'm not quite sure what time it is. It's 6 o'clock? Oh, great. 6:07, okay. Thank you, Cheryl and Rose, Cooper Medical School of Rowan University, and maybe we can do just one quick question, if anyone has one. Overwhelmed a little bit? It's a lot? All right, thank you. Should I do the second talk now? I don't know, it's like back to back. Okay. Are we all staying? If you're not staying for the second talk, it was wonderful to meet you. If you are, I'll be back in a minute. on what we're going to be talking about today. I already told you who I am, so I don't have to go into this all again. I do care deeply about high quality education and making sure that all of our learners get the best training that they can, and so that's how I kind of got interested in using social media to sort of enhance teaching and learning. Who are you? We already know. Did my disclosures, keep your device handy. All right, learning objectives. First, we want to explore ways to align social media with your pedagogical purpose. This goes back a little bit to what we were talking about before earlier today, right? Like, why do you want to use Twitter? Like, what is your sort of social media one-liner, your mission statement, if you will? So we're going to explore ways to align social media with that pedagogical purpose. We're also going to appraise approaches to utilizing social media to enhance teaching and learning, and consider opportunities for engaging in social media as part of your own personal professional development. We talked about that a little earlier. Now, I will say that I have a couple of things that I'm hoping that we can try for fun. So if you have your device or your app or your computer out, I may ask you to try out a thing or two with me. This could be something that maybe you would want to try with students at some point. Always start with why. Someone told me this, like, always start with why, Kristina. Like, why should we care about this? Why should we care about this topic? Why does it matter? And so I'd like to ask you, why do you think it matters? Why should we be thinking about using social media and education technology to work with our learners? Yes?
If it's the future of medical education, we should be using it now.
Right, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to throw out all our old ways of learning. But yeah, if young people are taking this technology and we're able to connect with them in a way that makes sense for them, that makes sense for us, absolutely. Why else should we think about using social media or education technology with our learners?
Get a wider audience.
Get a wider audience. Tell me more.
So I think, whatever we do here is very local, but now you can get on a national stage if you have ideas you want to put out there, things you want to share. Now you can make your field wider.
Right, you can make your field wider, right? So you definitely have some people who are, for example, creating educational videos, and they want more people to know about the educational videos, right? They want more people to see them. They don't want it to just be something that's kept to their local environment. So you can sort of have a broader reach, if you will, right? So these are really good examples of why we might want to think about using social media or education technology in our classrooms. So, it's a couple of reasons that I think we should think about it. And the first is, we have these young people, dun, 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 and they're millennials, although at this point, we're even starting to get into the point where we're going to have whatever comes next after millennials, right? So we've got these millennial learners. Millennial learners, they do not want traditional lectures, right? Cheryl? No, they don't want them. They want to do different things. And so they want didactics to be bite-sized or chunks. They don't want to stand here, sit there for 1 hour and have somebody just run over some old, dated PowerPoint slides, right? They don't want to learn that way, and we know that's not the best way for them to learn. They want to do limited reading and pre-work. If you are an educator and if you are in this room, you recognize that your learners, shock, may not have done the reading that you asked them to do, right? That is a reality that we face. They want to do limited reading and pre-work. Now, when it comes to pre-work, they might consider whether they want to watch a video instead of doing a reading, or whether there's something that you can do to prime them for the day's learning, which isn't simply read this journal article, read this book, or read this chapter. They want learning to be structured and focused, right? This aligns with adult learning theory, right? Adult learning theory would tell us that we need to know what we need to know. Why do we need to know it? So they don't just want it to be random stuff. They want it to be very clear. We need to know this because of this reason, right? We know this about millennials. They want to apply knowledge, not just regurgitate facts. Now, these are young people who are used to be able to getting answers, right? I mean, does anyone, I'm sure many of us do, remember, I don't know, it's not that long ago, 10 or 15 years ago, you're at a restaurant, right? Somebody says, hey, who won the 1946 Super Bowl? And you're like, hey, I'm pretty sure it was this team. They're like, hey, no, it was this other team. What would you have done then?
Google it.
15 years ago in a restaurant?
Oh, not 15 years ago.
You would have said, well, I guess we'll never know unless we remember in 2 hours when we get home to try and go on the internet to see who won the 1946 Super Bowl. What do we do now? Take out your cell phone and find out who won the 1946 Super Bowl. Exactly. So our young people are used to having the information at their fingertips, right? Our young people are used to saying, here is a question, click, 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 here's the answer. This is what they're used to. We can use this to our advantage, right? So when I taught a healthcare research class at Northeastern, really, really fun opportunity. I was actually so nervous and kind of like, ooh, do I want to teach this class? These are such young people, they're undergrads. I told them on the first day, I said, I recognize you have devices. I'm going to say keep them on. Use them if you want, right? I recommend that you focus most of your energy in the classroom on learning, but I also realize that maybe your mom's going to text you something important, or maybe you just really feel the need to go on Facebook for 5 minutes, so do it. But I'm going to ask you to do your best to be present while we're in this class, to try and put your devices aside when we're learning. And if you do it in a respectful way, they're a little more likely to give you that time that you need. They love working in groups. Anyone else agree with me? Yes. They love working in groups. In fact, I would do a couple of assignments when I was teaching that class, and I did a couple of them, you know, take a minute, do this individual thing, search this thing on your computer. They did not want to do it. Put them in groups of 2 or 3, they're happy to do it, right? We can use this to our advantage. They want to use technology. So we know that our learners right now, they're kind of people who have a little bit of FOMO. What's FOMO? Not quite. Fear of missing out, right? Fear of missing out. Well, what if somebody is posting something on social media and it's really good and I'm missing it right now? What if my friend just texted me her new haircut and I didn't get to see it, right? They have a fear of missing out. So what you can do is you can use technology sometimes as a way to say, hey, for 5 minutes, let's be on our devices. Let's Google this thing. Let's find this out, right? They want to be on them. I'm not saying give them what they want, but I am saying think about whether you can leverage that to your advantage. And finally, they really want to get answers immediately. But I will tell you, millennials will generate their own ideas first if you give them the opportunity. If you give them an opportunity, ask a question, give them an opportunity to think about the answer individually or in groups, they will try if you just give them an opportunity, and they enjoy that. So, want to just take 1 or 2 minutes for us at your tables. If each table can come up with 1 challenge of teaching millennial learners and 1 opportunity of teaching millennial learners. And we'll report back in a minute with your answers. So table 1, table 2, table 3. 1 challenge and 1 opportunity with teaching millennial learners.
I'll have to go back 1 slide. I just want to take a
So 1 challenge, 1 opportunity from your table. 1 challenge, 1 opportunity.
What's on Google? Right there. Yes. So that's, I think, I would say this is a challenge. The benefit is it can use a lot of these programs that
All right, group 3, do you guys have something? You guys ready to report out? Still chatting? Still, okay, 1 more minute for chatting and then we'll report out.
think, okay, I should rephrase that. Teaching what they need in the way we want. Okay. Okay. Right, because that's what we really can do, of course. So we don't consider this. You really do, you just don't realize you do. But I think if you incorporate the technology in there, they would be all for it. Because I think this pillar, I think it's a great idea. To better leverage the technology, yes, teach them what they need to know. Yes.
All right, I think we should report out in the sake of time. Table number, in no particular order, table number 1. What is a challenge that you came up with teaching millennials?
Keeping them engaged.
Keeping them engaged. I think we can all agree with that, right? Keeping their attention. They say our attention span is something like 7 seconds. Our brain starts drifting off somewhere. Good. Keeping attention. And what is the opportunity there?
I think once they're engaged and once they're passionate, they're all in.
Once they're into it, they totally dive in. So if you can get them invested, you can keep them invested if you keep it interesting. Agree. All right. What is a challenge that your table came up with in teaching millennials?
Instantaneous.
Well, the challenge is in critical thinking. So they want immediate, everything is immediate, but then the critical thinking part.
Right, so that whole need to know, that whole right now doesn't allow for that time to think about the process in the middle, to think about the connections that are growing in our brain, but instead we just want to know the answer. So there's that sort of fear of not knowing the answer, and instead they don't embrace that learning process, right? Agree. What is an opportunity there?
So the opportunity is that we could use technology and use what they want to, how they want to learn to engage them.
Right, so we can think about the things that they might already be doing on their phones in their lives to try to get them engaged and try to have them forget that that it's okay to have that uncertainty, to let them sit for a minute. It's okay to be a little uncertain. What is the challenge that your table came up with?
I think ours was similar to theirs because we said short attention.
Short attention, right.
Yeah. And so we were thinking to try to engage them in what the technologies are that they're using and how could we use that then to keep their attention and get value out of the session.
Right, so trying to figure out any way that we can, if they're already using something or if there's something that they like that we know is pedagogically sound, I'm not suggesting just give them what they want, but if there's something that we can do that we know encourages strong learning, then we might want to try it in our classroom or in the things that we're doing with our learners. Agree. So what I'd like to do at this point is I have 3 different things. We might only do 2 of them because we kind of did some tweeting, but I want to show you guys 2 ways that you might think about incorporating educational technology, social media into your classroom. Is everyone up for a little active?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so I do want to say that you want to align social media with your pedagogical purpose, right? So this is the RAP model. Anyone familiar with the RAP model? Replacement, amplification, transformation. So replacing, technology just serves as a different means to the same instructional end, right? This is the same way of doing, a slightly different way of doing something. Amplification increases the efficiency and productivity without fundamental change. And transformation allows form of instruction and learning which were previously inconceivable. So what you can do in your head is you can think about, if I want to use an education technology in my classroom with my learners, am I trying to replace? Am I trying to amplify, or am I trying to transform? So kind of a simple model to think about when you're trying to figure out whether you could actually use something when teaching. Replacement example would be a phone versus Skype, right? They basically do the same thing. You can have the same conversation, but you can just see somebody on Skype. So it's a way of replacing. And in the literature, an example that I found is webcast versus live orientation. So they used to have a live orientation for residents. Now this residency program transitioned to an online. They measured it. They found out that for their learners, online was better. They're just doing something in a different way. Now, an example I want to share with you is Padlet. Has anyone heard of Padlet? All right. Padlet is free. It's an online website. And it's a way to encourage collaborative learning. Now, there is a lot of functionality with Padlet. You can do a lot of things, and I haven't even fully explored them. But it's all about collaboration, right? Now, we've already discussed that we know these learners like to collaborate. They like to work together. They want to do things online. So here is a way of working with them to do it. And so what I want to do is I want everyone to go on their device, https://padlet.com/kdzara/Cooper. So everyone pull this up on whatever device that you're using at this point. Is everyone there? Okay, need another minute? No worries. Everyone there? Everyone's still working on it? Anyone still getting there? Everyone there? You're still getting there? Are we good? Yes. Great. So, this is a Padlet, a very, very, very simple Padlet, remember, free, which I created to try to demonstrate with you guys how you might consider using it in your classroom. So the first thing I want to point out is that it has these social media kind of like functions, right? You can kind of turn them on and off. People can like things, right? People can thumbs up them or thumbs down. If you make that an option, I just made like an option. Now here, this is something that you could do. You could create a Padlet, and before class, you could ask your learners, put up questions. What questions do you still have about today's learning? What is one question that the reading generated for you? So you could literally ask them to do something either in class or in advance of class using this online platform, right? So what you're trying to do here is get those neurons firing, right? Get them thinking about something in advance. You could also use it in class, ABC, have a debate, right? Imagine that you were teaching something and there was no clear answer, right? Maybe we didn't know if answer A, B, or C was correct. You could have them on their computers having a debate on Padlet about what answer is right and why. So what I want to ask you to do at this point, who has used social media or education technology to replace, amplify, or transform? I would like to ask you to go on this Padlet and answer my question. What is an idea you have? How could you use social media or education technology to work with your learners? So literally go on the Padlet, pretend you are a learner in a class, and answer this question. What are some ways you've used social media to replace, amplify, or transform? Does everyone understand the task?
You have to do add comment to do this?
Yes, that's what you want to do. You want to add a comment because this is something that we could ask our learners to do. You could set this up with questions for your learners so that they have to answer them.
So would this be something that was real time?
Yes, we're doing it right now. Well, you could do it before, yeah.
Okay.
You could do it in advance. You could ask them, you could set this up such that you could ask your learners to answer the question before class.
This is taking like survey, like Kahoot or something like that. This is taking it one step further because you can actually do like
right.
conversation.
So there are many, many, many things that you can do with Padlet. Like you could spend hours exploring all the things that you could do. But people have been using it for collaborative learning. So you could literally have your learners work on something together. You could have them prepare something together. You could have them answer questions. So here, somebody used it to replace. They don't think this is very helpful. I apologize for that. Amplify. Assign a hashtag to the class course and use during discussions. Sure. Somebody would like to use it to transform their teaching. I don't know what this is. Anyone else able to make a post? Anyone else able to share something about how they have used social media to replace, amplify, or transform?
So what do you mean by transform?
Doing something in a completely and utterly different way that was not possible before technology.
Okay.
Right.
And can you, I know this is a really dumb question, but how do you define social media?
Right. So this is an interesting question. Some people would say, like, very, sort of traditional of like, we're just talking about like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Whereas some people would say social media includes things like WhatsApp, absolutely includes websites, includes blogs, includes podcasts, could even include something like Slack, right? So I would have a more liberal definition, right? As I look at this, I would even say this could fall into social media. It looks like someone thinks that they could have an in-person book club with a tweet chat. It looks like someone else has said they want to think about how to use in active groups or other small groups. Exactly. So the reason I wanted to show you this is that it truly is a way to try to encourage collaborative learning. Our learners want to learn collaboratively. If you go on this, sign up, take a minute, and see if it could be helpful to you, right? You could have your learners in advance answer questions. You could have them just in time answer questions. So this is something that you could consider doing with your learners. If you want to understand more about the functionality of Padlet, you can go ahead and sort of Google around because people are using it in really cool ways. There's a bunch of images of how, I mean, I made the simplest one, but there's a bunch of images of how people are using it because it is for collaborative learning. So you could literally have a Padlet for each small group and ask them to come up with something. You can include links, you can include videos, you can include audio files. This is not a static thing, this is a dynamic thing. And the more you use it, the more you'll understand it. Let's see. Use blog posts to amplify teaching points from a lecture. Absolutely. Listen to podcasts on commute to utilize downtime for learning. Absolutely. So I think this is some great suggestions that you guys have here. Does everyone see a little bit about how this could be something that you could use for teaching and learning? Yeah? Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that you can use this to create a concept map?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there's like a free form thing that they could use? Or?
Right, so you'd have to log in, make an account, and sort of check out some of the functionality, but that is one thing that they say for. So you could have students, each learning group create a concept map, and then you could compare the concept maps between groups. And remember, these are open. Like this one, I made it open, right? You guys can see this. So the groups could see each other's concept maps, they could compare. You could switch them and have one group explain the other one to another group. There's a lot of things you could do here to try to encourage active learning. Other questions?
Is it always free, or is like a certain version of it free, and then if you want
I'm
like
not
more
fully sure. I think there probably is a higher functionality level, but at a basic level, I mean, I think there's a lot you can do with the free version. Any other questions before we move on?
One other thing, can you weave other software in here? Like, can you weave in inspiration or something like that?
What is inspiration?
It's a tool that you can like put in either outlines or concept maps and then switch them. So I used to use that in the past, and I would put in an outline, and then I would hit a button and convert it to a concept map. So you're appealing to different types of learners,
right.
Those that are more linear.
I can't speak to whether that exact program could be implemented, but one of the things that Padlet really promotes itself as is something that has a lot of integrative value. That there are a lot of things that you can integrate into it. So I think with just a little bit of testing it out, you could find out the answer to that very quickly. They really do make it seem like it's something that's very, very, very simple to integrate with other websites, other pictures, other sites, and whatnot. I think there's a lot of function. I recently was in a tweet chat, and people were talking this up, that their learners loved it, that they were using it, and it was bringing a lot of value to their teaching. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to highlight it for you today, because I know it's quite popular right now in medical education. So in terms of amplification, we had talked about this, amplifying, taking something and making it bigger, right? So an example of this is podcasts. You guys listen to podcasts? What's your favorite podcast? What? MRAP, right. Emergency medicine. Who else has a favorite podcast? Yeah?
Stuff you missed in history class.
Stuff you missed in history. Now that sounds really... Somebody was telling me earlier today that there's like a history of surgery podcast, which is really fascinating. So one of my favorites is Key Lime podcast. If you are a medical educator and you haven't listened to this podcast, you are completely missing out. They are fabulous. They discuss articles, and they love Twitter. So if you listen to a Key Lime podcast and you tweet them and you tell them Kristina sent them, they will be like, yes, I know. She sends a lot of people to our podcast because she loves it. It's my favorite podcast. So this is an example of amplification. And another way that you could amplify would be through tweet chats and journal clubs. So here you can engage synchronously or asynchronously to discuss topics of shared interest. And we already talked about this a little bit, but you have MedEd chat, you have nephrology journal club, someone else brought that up in the last session. People are having these conversations. Now, in the interest of time, I'm gonna leave it up to you. Do you guys want to try a tweet chat live now? Yeah? All right, so what we're going to do is I want you to go to bit.ly/medfactchat. And I'll leave this up for a second. So pull out your device. You got a device there? Welcome. You got a device? Yeah, pull it up. Are you welcome? Thank you for joining. So everyone take a second and pull this up on your phone, computer, iPad, iPhone, whatever. Everyone get there? No. Nope, still working on it? Anyone need more time?
Should we just open this in Twitter or just
on if it takes you to the Twitter browser, I think that's fine. But this is the hashtag for it. Did it take you to the Twitter platform, or did it take you?
Just twitter.com and it's wanting me to download, but I already have it down.
I would just not worry about that right now. Just ignore the download. Did everyone get to where you're going? Everyone there? Anyone waiting? All right, so what I did there is I created a bit.ly link, a link shortener, to Twitter. Now, what I did is I went on Twitter and I created a hashtag. Now remember, I don't own this hashtag. Anyone could use it in the future, but for some unknown reason, no one has ever used hashtag #MedFactChat. So I thought, let's pretend that I wanted to start a tweet chat. And let's think that tweet chat was about faculty in medicine, right? MedFactChat. Chat for faculty in medicine. And the reason I picked this hashtag is because no one has ever used it before. Now, as the moderator of the tweet chat, I came up with a little visual for us to try it out. So here's my question for our chat for faculty development today. What is one goal that you have for using Twitter? So here's your challenge. In your Twitter platform, construct a tweet that answers that question and include the hashtag #MedFactChat. So we are literally having a tweet chat right now about the goal that you have for using Twitter. So what I would like for you to do, construct a tweet and include that hashtag #MedFactChat. Everyone understand the task at hand? Everyone working on it? Include the hashtag? How are we doing over here?
I didn't realize it was case sensitive, so I'm totally...
It's not case sensitive.
Oh. When I did
oh, you know what? All you need to do...
Oh, it was on my computer.
Oh, do you want to go? I would just go to... Right.
Go ahead. Tell me.
Oh,
tell me
just put the hashtag in. Hashtag #MedFactChat.
Everyone or just you?
So this will go out to your Twitter followers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I understand if you don't, but
So just
put in hashtag #MedFactChat.
It doesn't have to be case sensitive.
Nope.
Right?
And you should find this. There you go. So now you can construct a new tweet, or you can reply to my tweet. Is everyone doing a tweet? Is everyone answering? Either an original tweet or reply.
Please, can I ask you?
Where am I replying?
You can reply there. Oh, it wants you to, so, okay, so go in the app, it would say. All right, are you in the app?
I did. I did a peer message.
Perfect.
How do I see it?
You click on it.
Got it. Or you could have just typed and then hashtag #MedFactChat.
There you go. Are you in that? Just go back to the regular app that you were in. Not the, yeah. Go to the app, the Twitter app.
Oh, my Twitter app.
Yeah, just go to your Twitter app. Right. And put in hashtag down there. #MedFactChat. You'll find it. Was everyone else able to find it? Is it pulling up on their phones? Are we able to construct something? Mm-hmm. Yeah. #MedFactChat. All right, let's take a look at what people are saying. We've got 2 new results. So Natalie says she wants to use it to try to engage students in why we are introducing them to SW topics. What's an SW topic? Scholars Workshop topic. Perfect. Now, because I'm the moderator of the chat and I like it, I'm going to like this tweet because I think that's a great idea. Now, Mina wants to increase her followers. That's her goal that she has. So now, let's say that I'm a chat participant. So what I'm literally doing is I am participating in this tweet chat by answering her question, right? So here, as we look more, we find Natalie wants to help the students better understand why we discuss the second topics. Down here, we've got some replies going on. Want to help the students understand. Rosaria wants to expand her professional network. Now imagine if this chat were on a topic that we really, really, really cared about, and it wasn't just like make one goal, but instead it was on the topic of like, you know, how do we teach medical students to deliver breech births, right? That's a topic. How do we enhance faculty development efforts at our institution, right? That's a real topic. So this is powerful in that you can actually get people discussing things that are valuable to them in the field. Does everyone see how actually it's not that hard to participate in a tweet chat? Did anybody, so Lisa, hi Lisa, shares accurate medical information regarding endocrine disorders. Engaging students better understand. Perfect. So now, literally, if you guys are, yes.
So I replied to Natalie's.
Yep.
But I forgot to do the hashtag,
Yeah. So no one's going to see it.
Net fact check.
No one's going to see it. Yeah. You have to use the hashtag in a tweet chat. That is the way that other people will find your stuff, right? That's how you join the chat. Now, I want you guys to realize if you did this today, if you sent one tweet with that hashtag, if there is a tweet chat out there in your field that you want to join, that is how easy it is, and you can do it. Is there a little bit of a learning curve? Yes. Does it feel a little unnatural? Sure. But you can absolutely do it, and you are now equipped with the skills to do it. Questions here? What's the question?
You said you can delete it. How can we delete it now? That I put in without any. So I put see, it's here, but only I can see it, right?
You click this little thing, and oops. Is this your tweet?
This is Natalie's, and then I responded to her, so that's it.
Delete. Goodbye. All gone. Any other questions about participating in a tweet chat? Does everyone?
So does this go on? This can go on indefinitely in different periods of time.
Sure. I mean, most tweet chats will have a start time and an end time. Okay. Most are 1 hour. Some have an asynchronous, so they'll be maybe open for 24 hours with a moderator. Now, if I was actually a really good tweet moderator, what I would do is I would go to every single one of these and I would reply or retweet or share, whatever it may be. And I would try to get that conversation going, right? So let's say I was the moderator and I saw Lisa and Natalie were talking about the same thing. I might then reply to Lisa's tweet and say, tag Natalie in it and say, I think Natalie is grappling with this same question. I wonder if you guys have some shared interests, right? So as the moderator, I would want to try to bring people together around this topic. Does everyone think that if they wanted to, they could join a tweet chat now after trying it out? Good, wonderful. All right, and the final way that I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit is transformation. So this would be doing something in a way that was previously inconceivable, pretty much, or something that you couldn't really do. It's hard to think of ways that truly are transformative, and I think this kind of fits in. So one way that I've been giving examples. Here's one example of a truly transformative, I think. So we know that people make flashcards. We know that students make flashcards. There is a free online making your own flashcard thing called Anki, A-N-K-I. You guys have heard of this? Students are using it, right? So they make their own flashcards. Somebody actually did a study and found that the students who made their own flashcards in Anki did better, right? So we're literally having a way of using education technology that you wouldn't have been able to make your own online flashcards before, and now you can. So this is sort of this transformational way. I want to introduce you guys to a game that gamifies learning. Has everyone heard of gamification, gamified learning? There's this cool platform. It's called Kahoot. Has anyone heard of Kahoot in here? I know she mentioned it earlier. Who else has heard of it? No one? Just one? Okay. Two? Okay. So Kahoot actually gamifies learning. There's a little bit of a learning curve, and you have to sort of set it up in advance before your learners. Similar to Padlet, you can use it to gauge readiness to learn. So you could have questions which are like, are you guys ready to learn? Or you could actually have questions in class that people answer on their devices. And it gamifies it in a way. And you guys will see this in a moment, how it works. It requires the learner to not just be on their phone, but sort of look up at what's going on, okay? So bear with me. This is a little bit of fun, okay? Okay. Now, what I want everyone to do is open a browser on their phone. All you have to do is go to kahoot.it. Once you're there, enter this game pin. All right, we got a couple people signing up. Pick your nickname. We got RM, we got RK. Everyone else putting in their nickname. It's asking you for a nickname. Who else? MK, we got 3 players. We should have about 8 or 10, right? NF, oh wow, we got a bunch. So we got a bunch of people initials, NF, MK, RK, about 8 players. So we are all now going to play a learning game. And of course, since I love Twitter, it's actually about Twitter. So what I'm going to do as the instructor is I'm going to start the game. It's actually pretty simple. Here's 3 questions. Are you ready? Question 1, what is Twitter? Now, on your phone, and I set this up, I gave you 20 seconds. You can decide 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Answer this question. Now, do you see on your phone? You can't see the answers. You only have the colors, right? Right?
We just click the tab on it?
Whatever your answer is. Oh, so only 3 people actually answered the question. So you were a little slow. That's okay, no big deal. So 3 people think it is a free social networking site used for microblogging. Now imagine if I use this as a readiness to learn. Imagine if I had this question be something about the clinical learning that they're going to have for the day, right? This could be powerful. So of the 8 people who signed up, 3 participated, and they all chose a free social media networking site. So let's see. All right, now, it's based off time. Who is MK? Who is MK? Yeah. You? I thought you were the last to click. You are in the lead. You got 837 points. You must have clicked really fast. Who is RM? RM, you are in 2nd place currently, and RK is in 3rd place. So it's based off of whether you got the answer right and how quickly you click the answer. So now as the instructor, I'm going to move us on to question 2. What is a tweet? Now remember, time varies. You get better points if you get it right sooner. All right, 10 seconds left. Is it a post on Facebook, a post on Twitter, a post on LinkedIn, or a post on Instagram? Now I know that this is easy, but you can envision a hard question that students might be challenged with. All right, 10 people think that it's a post on Twitter, and lo and behold, that's correct. So now, what do we have here? We have RM in the lead. Who is RM? Oh, you came over RK, who is no longer in the lead. Who's MK? Oh, MK. So we've got a war now going on, right? So people like to win, students like to win, students like to play. So here you're literally gamifying it, and you're going to be able to say at the end who sort of wins. So we've got one more question left. What is a hashtag? Got 10 seconds left. Looks like everyone answered. And one person thinks it's a word or phrase preceded by an @ sign. One person thinks it's a phrase owned by Twitter. And one person thinks it's a word or phrase preceded by a # sign. Now, the interesting thing about this is we all now know what everyone in the room thinks is going on. Now, imagine if this was a clinical question or a question that you were priming your learners for, and you had something like 3, 3, and 2, right? Then you might be able to have a conversation with your learners. Well, what is right? Is it this one? Is it this one? Let's have a debate. Let's come to consensus as a class as to what answer is correct, and then you reveal the correct answer. So this is something you could actually try in the classroom with your learners if you wanted to. It's really not that hard to set up, and it is free. Actually, Kahoot was created, it was like a venture capital or something by people in either Sweden or Norway or something, and they want it to be completely free. They want people to use this in their learning. So this is something really cool, and I mean, try it out with your learners, right? If you think that they might take to it, I mean, you could even do it in the middle of a lecture or something to sort of grab them back in and engage them. So what do we have now? RM, where are you? That is the winner. You have won. Now, granted, you know, people like to win. It's not a big deal in here. But imagine if you had 10 or 15 questions. And imagine if winning meant that you got a bonus point, or winning meant that you could lead something next week or not lead something next week, right? You could do things to sort of make there some incentive for your learners to actually try on this, right? And so you sort of have points, and you can see how you did, and, you know, yada, yada, yada. So this is something really cool I did want to share with you. I heard that students really like it when you get into doing it. So that was the third thing I wanted to try out with you guys. How was that? We tried the Padlet, tried the tweet chat, we tried the Kahoot. Painful? Kind of interesting?
I think Kahoot is very interesting. Padlet, I think, would need time for us to.
Yeah, Padlet's not meant for a large classroom setting.
Yeah, it's more for
you do, and it's kind of, I liked it.
Right.
And it captures the attention, it makes them focus,
Mm-hmm.
and they're head up and listen to you. And
The Kahoot, yeah.
I mean, what I do is audience response questions generally in my lectures anyways.
Right.
So this is a nicer one where you can actually have
What do you use for audio response?
I use Echo. Echo has the ability to
Right.
It is similar to a clicker, right?
Yes, it's similar to a clicker, but you don't need the clicker. I mean, audience response, I believe that it's expensive to have those, and if you lose a clicker, then you're losing something worth money. All of your students are going to have devices, and you saw how easy it was. You take 2 minutes, 1 minute to log on, and there's your quiz. And the really cool thing is they can't just sort of be on their phone the whole time. They have to look up, and they have to be thinking before they can click the color. So there is some kind of activation there.
Nice because they can just get the thing from there. You don't have to, it goes on the camera, you're right there, and you can answer.
Right, Poll Everywhere is a really cool one. You know, people are, you know, I didn't highlight Poll Everywhere because I feel like a lot of people know about it and use it. So I was trying to highlight some technologies that maybe people hadn't seen. But Poll Everywhere is a huge one. I mean, people are using that all over. And the really cool thing about Poll Everywhere, you can do word clouds too. I mean, there's a lot of functionality there with the type of questions. You can have qualitative questions, you can have quantitative questions. So it really is a good way as well to engage learners. I know we're tight on time. I just want to make it clear, social media is here to stay, right? We already talked about there's a vibrant community of practice on Twitter. There's more than 13,000 meta tweets in the past week, and our learners are embracing educational technology. So we really have no choice but to at least try to meet them in the middle sometimes and help make sure that we are giving them opportunities to actively learn. There are professional considerations. I already brought up this paper. really is a must read if you're thinking about being a person who wants to do more of this in your professional life. There are opportunities for educational scholarship. I highlighted this little letter to the editor I did before, and there are plenty of resources out there. I mean, there are a ton of like 12 tips and JGME ripouts. How do I create a virtual journal club? How do I actually run a tweet chat? There are resources out there and they're not that hard to find. And if you're looking for a particular resource on something relating to this, go ahead and shoot me an email or a message on Twitter and say, hey, do you happen to have a resource for this? And I'll see if I have something in my arsenal. Some tips for success. You really want to consider your purpose always. If you're using an education technology or you're using a social media, really consider your purpose. Why am I doing this? And does it align with my pedagogy, right? What am I trying to teach, and is this an appropriate way of doing it? Finding your tribe. Finding like-minded people who care about the things that you care about and are going to be there to help you troubleshoot, right? Like in this room, we've heard that someone loves using Poll Everywhere. We've talked about Kahoot. We've talked about Padlet, right? So if you can find others, whether they're in the virtual space or whether they're sitting next to you, who are people that you can brainstorm. Hey, have you used this thing? Have you heard about it? How do you use it? Can you show me how you use it? It will help you become a better educator. Always demonstrate professionalism no matter what you're doing, especially if you're on social media. We talked about with the last talk. Be professional. If you think that you shouldn't share something on social media, don't do it. And then finally, try and try again, right? You go in your classroom, you think that you want to try the Kahoot, you try the Kahoot. It doesn't go well. The learners don't really like it. They didn't really do it. They tell you not to do it. So what? What did you lose by trying? You're never going to be a good educator if you don't take little risks in your teaching, because you might find out that your learners love something and they want to keep doing it. And to conclude, the same thing that I said before, we do live in a different world today, right? 1998, don't meet people from the internet, don't get in their cars. Today, use your phone to call people who you don't know from the internet to get in their car so that they can drive you somewhere. We live in a different world. And if you're not at least open to the idea of using these things with your learners, regardless of whether they're in UME, GME, or CME, then you might find yourself a little bit behind. And there are lots of opportunities to try things out. Keep your eyes and ears open. Thank you again to Cheryl, Ann, Rose, Cooper Medical School, and I'm happy to do questions and discussions, although if you got to get home to your families and your lives, please do so. Thank you so much. Thank you.